Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming another "if you liked this book, I think you would also like this movie," and vice versa tag thing. I've done this video twice before, so I will link both down below in the description if you're interested, but I love doing the videos for like if you like this book, you would also like this book kind of recommendations, but I also love doing the book to movie comparisons because I am a huge lover of film and TV shows, and I watch movies and TV shows probably just as often as I read. It's really fun for me to find similarities between books and movies that I'm seeing. This list in particular is going to include 3 TV shows, and then the rest are going to be movies, so it's kind of if you like this book, you would also like this movie/TV show. This wasn't my idea originally. I will also link down below the original video that I saw of this that I was inspired to do this from. So I'm going to be starting with the 3 TV show comparisons of books that I think are very similar to certain TV shows. So the very first one I have for you is if you like The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, I think you would also like the TV show The Sinner starring Jessica Biel. Both of these are very similar in the sense that in The Silent Patient we're following this girl who killed her husband and is no longer speaking. And then in The Sinner, we're following the main character, Jessica Biel, who randomly murders this guy on the beach for no apparent reason, and then she also no longer is speaking after the incident. In both of these stories, you're trying to figure out what the reason was behind why they did it, because both of these women are very non-violent people, and they've lived very, mellow lives before this, so it doesn't really make any sense why they would just randomly act out so violently and then not speak anymore after it. So both of these stories feel very similar. They both kind of take place in mental hospitals, and they just have very similar vibes. The Silent Patient has one of my favorite plot twists in it. It's just so good. So I think if you liked one, you should definitely check out the other. My next one is gonna be if you liked the book My Lovely Wife, I think you should also check out Santa Clarita Diet, even though Netflix just canceled it. So My Lovely Wife is an adult thriller, and the book is about how this girl is a serial killer and her husband goes out there to find people for her to kill. And in Santa Clarita Diet, it's somewhat similar, but we follow Drew Barrymore, who is a zombie. He has to eat people to survive. So it's about how her husband goes out and finds people for her to kill and then eat. So it's a similar concept happening in these two. And I will say Santa Clarita Diet is very strange. It's very gory and violent, but it's really funny. It's very dark humor in that show. And then My Lovely Wife is a very interesting book because it's about a female serial killer who has this urge to kill, and her husband is the one going out finding people for her to kill, and this book is actually told from the husband's point of view, and it's just very interesting, and I just love both the TV show and this book so much, and I just found them to be a little bit similar. Alright, and the next one I have for TV shows is if you like the book The Test by Sylvain Neuvel, then I think you would also like the show Black Mirror. If you've never heard of Black Mirror, so The Test is this short story that honestly feels like an episode of Black Mirror. If you haven't read The Test and you're a Black Mirror fan, then I think you should read The Test. Because without giving too much away, The Test is basically about this man who's going to take his citizenship test, and then while he's there, morals get tested, and it's cray-cray. It literally just feels like an episode of Black Mirror. And if you don't know what Black Mirror is, it's basically this anthology series about technology in a way. It really shows us how technology advancement can hurt us in the future, and it's just freaking fascinating. So I definitely found these similar though. The Test literally feels like a Black Mirror episode, so yeah. The next ones that I have are all the book to movie comparisons. So the first one is going to be if you like the book Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren, I think you would also like the movie Set It Up, which is on Netflix. It's a Netflix original movie, and I feel like these two are similar because they're both romantic comedies, and they both involve a dating scenario being set up. And in Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, it's about Josh and Hazel setting each other up on all of these disastrous blind dates because they're trying to avoid dating each other. And it's really cute. It's one of my favorite rom-coms ever. And then Set It Up is really cute because it's about these 2 interns who are working for their bosses, and their bosses are such psychopath, workaholics, so they decide to try to set up their bosses with each other so that they can get more time off of work and less time at the office all the time. So it's really cute because both of these romances involve setting people up Whether or not that works out, I'm not gonna spoil you, but they're both really cute. The next one I have is if you liked the book One Day in December by Josie Silver, I think you would also like the movie Something Borrowed. These are basically like very similar storylines. They're both involving love triangles. In this book, we follow this girl who sees this guy from afar, and it's like her dream guy. Okay, like she sees him and she's like, oh my god, like I would do anything for that guy. Years and years later, her best friend in the whole world comes home with that guy as her new boyfriend. She's like, look, it's my boyfriend. And then she's like, holy shit, because this guy and her like felt this connection when they saw each other once, like years ago. We get this like awkward love triangle situation where it's like, the guy is like with her best friend, and it's awkward because she would never hurt her best friend, but it's like she really wants to be with him, and it's this like awkward thing. And this story spans over 10 years. And Something Borrowed is kind of like a similar situation where the main character had this really great friendship and somewhat relationship with this guy in law school, and then she introduces him to her best friend, and the best friend and the guy get together, and she always like had a crush on him and wanted to be with him. But now it's like awkward because her best friend is with him and they're getting married and she doesn't know what to do. And so both of these books have a main character that's in the exact same situation where this guy is like with their best friend and they want to be with the guy. And they're definitely both like cheesy romances. I will say though that I liked One Day in December more than I liked the movie Something Borrowed, but they definitely have similar vibes, like they're like the same storyline basically. Alright, so the next one I have is if you like the book Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I also think you would like Bohemian Rhapsody, which is the movie that's about the band Queen. The main reason for this comparison is because of the 70s rock band vibes. This book definitely made me feel like I was in the writing room, you know, with this band from the 70s that was very big. They feel very like Fleetwood Mac to me for some reason, like Daisy Jones and the Six. I can just imagine like the 70s vibes of this book so well, and like Daisy Jones and her classic like voice, and the way Daisy Jones is known as this amazing artist that was like so big in her time. And then watching like Bohemian Rhapsody and seeing like Freddie Mercury, who is like a real, you know, person in the 70s that was a part of this band Queen, like they just feel very similar to me in that sense. So if you're looking for something that is just like appreciating 70s rock band vibes, then I think either of these stories would be really great. I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody is like a real story about Queen, and this is a fictional story about Daisy Jones and the Six, who is not real, but I wish they were. So yeah. Right, the next one I have for you is if you like the book Scythe by Neil Shusterman, I think you would also like Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve. Oh my gosh, dude. Blade Runner 2049 is one of my favorite movies of all time. This book kind of reminded me of it, like with vibes and with plot. So in the book Scythe, we're in this world where humans have conquered death and everybody is immortal. And now these people called Scythes have to go out there and randomly kill people because of the overpopulation issue. And then in Blade Runner 2049, we follow these people called Blade Runners who have to go out and kill their previous models. So like the whole idea of like a scythe and a Blade Runner are like very similar in plot wise, but in both of these books we are following humanity in this very futuristic world where the world is overpopulated and there's not a lot of food to go around, and now they have these very controversial jobs where people have jobs that are to kill other people. Like Blade Runners are forced to kill their own kind. It's kind of like scythes, because scythes are still like humans, so they're also killing their own kind. But like Blade Runners are technically androids, so they're not like actual people, but they're still killing their other androids. And like when I read this book, I was listening to the soundtrack from Blade Runner 2049 because they just have such similar vibes, and like the worlds are just so dark and moody and like sci-fi-ish. Like oh my god, I love it. Alright, so my next one is gonna be if you liked the book Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, I think you should also check out Long Shot, which stars Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron. The main reason for this comparison is because both of these are really cute romantic comedy books and movies that involve females in politics. In both of these stories, it's about females either running for president or being the president of the United States, which I just think is so cool, so fantastic. In this book, this is actually a male-male romance that follows the first son of the female president of the United States and the prince. And so this one's like definitely more of like a male-male romantic comedy, but it still involves politics a lot because his mom is the president of the United States. And then in Long Shot, this is a cute romantic comedy movie about how Charlize Theron is going to be running for president of the United States and Seth Rogen gets hired as her speechwriter. It's just all around cuteness, and if you love seeing females in power, then I think you would like either of these. Alright, my next one is going to be if you liked A 5-Minute Life by Emma Scott, then I think you would also like 50 First Dates, which stars Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. Both of these stories involve a girl who has a very short memory span. In this book, she gets into a bad car accident and she only has a memory span of 5 minutes. And in 50 First Dates, she has the memory span of 1 day. So in both of these stories, it really shows you what life is like when you have a very short memory span from a very traumatic car accident. And these are both romance stories as well. So both of these stories involve a guy trying to win her over even though she doesn't remember him most of the time. I will say, I think 50 First Dates is a lot better of a story than A 5-Minute Life, because A 5-Minute Life started off very promising and then it slowly got very, very cheesy and very, very lame, where I think 50 First Dates is constantly great and one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. And they just have that similarity of a girl who has a short memory span, and I think that's a very interesting plot thing to have in common. Alright, and the last one that I have for you is if you like the book A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness, I think you would like the movie The Babadook. The main reason for this, I know this one sounds like it might be kind of a stretch, so this one is considered like a young adult fantasy kind of horror novel, and then the movie The Babadook is considered a horror movie. Both of these books are really dark and really sad, and at their core, they're really about depression. Like A Monster Calls is about this boy who sees this monster every night, which is this like giant tree in his backyard. In this story, his mom is currently suffering from cancer, and that's definitely taking a toll on his emotional and mental health. And then in The Babadook, it follows this woman who her husband has recently passed away, and now she's seeing this Babadook, like scary creature, in her house. And at the end of the day, both of these stories are very dark and definitely have like horror vibes to them, but they're also really sad, and they're mainly about depression and how depression can have such an impact on your mental state. Just such beautiful stories, and I definitely think A Monster Calls is the superior story in my opinion, just because A Monster Calls is so goddamn beautiful. But The Babadook is a really great horror movie that has so much more to it than just a horror movie, you know what I mean? Like, it's a really beautiful story about a family. And alright, so those are all of the book to movie comparisons that I have for you today. If you've read any of these books or seen any of these movies or TV shows, then let me know what your thoughts are on that, and if you agree that they're similar or you disagree that they're nothing alike. Yeah, just let me know your thoughts, or if you plan on watching any of these movies or reading any of these books now because of the comparison. If you could let me know, that would be cool. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys soon with a new video.